Hey everyone, welcome back to my live writing test series where I write a brand new essay in response to this week's newest writing question. Alright, let's go. These days, many people do little or no exercise at all, and they have health problems as a result. Why don't many people get enough exercise, and what can be done about it? This is a traditional problem solution essay. Pretty easy to figure out this one here. This is a very common question, health or diet or exercise. It's probably one of the simpler questions you could have. So let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably just get my introduction done. Or I could just go back to the usual fashion and write the main idea sentences first. Let me know what you prefer. I think maybe having the introduction done first makes it a bit easier for people to follow. So let's see. Alright, so what's my introduction going to be? I'm going to write about this whole lack of exercise thing first. So these days many people do little or no exercise and they have health problems. Okay. The world over, I can say, well, maybe not that, but lifestyle illnesses have been increasing at an unprecedented rate due in no small part to people's sedentary lifestyles. Increasingly sedentary lifestyles. There you go, that's it. Let me just change the color of this thing. Let me change the font as well. Yeah, there we go. And then what do? I'm going to talk about why this happens and what happens as a result of it. It is rare for people to get enough exercise due to their due to the lifestyles. Well, I mean, I already said, I've already kind of, mentioned this over here, so maybe not this much. So I'll just kind of copy it over here, right? So it is rare for people to get enough exercise due in no small part to their increasingly sedentary lifestyles, which in turn cause them to be, or to fall victim to, which in turn cause them to fall victim to early onset of a slew of diseases and other issues. And then what can be done about it? If you can always look at your causes statement to figure out what needs to change, because it's just the introduction. You can't write anything overly specific, remember? So what can be done about it? It's rare for people to get enough exercise for lifestyles. Lifestyles have to change. To ensure, well, what can be done? How can people get more exercise? To ensure health and fitness, or maybe to bring health and fitness back, or maybe you can say people need to ensure that they make some behavioral changes. But then I don't want to say just behavioral changes, because anything that you write here will limit what you can say, in your body paragraphs. So that is something which you'll have to be very careful with. You can't risk writing something that's very limiting, like a straitjacket, basically. So people need to, well, there's a lot of things that need to be done. I think there's, governmental action that could be taken, because a lot of people simply are not aware of the importance of exercise and, other such things. So, I mean, you can't even fault them. I mean, if I don't have the knowledge, then is it really my fault? I mean, maybe I'm not able to access the knowledge, right? So there needs to be, I think, widespread changes in society. And cultural changes are necessary to, to curtail, or maybe you can just say to decrease the incidence, or maybe bring an aware. Oh, I've already said that. Widespread societal and cultural changes are necessary to ensure that people live healthy lifestyles. There we go, that's it. Then I'm going to write my main idea sentences. Main idea sentence 1, ideas 1, 2, 3. Then I have the next one, again, ideas 1, 2, 3. Then I have the next one because it's a problem solution essay. Then 1, 2, 3. So causes. What is responsible for this problem? Increasing progress, technological. Well, I don't know if you can blame technology for this. Doesn't sound very fair. So maybe I'll say, despite progressing in nearly every, I don't know, it seems very preachy. Despite progressing in nearly every avenue, our healths are like, at the worst possible level. But I'm not sure exactly how to go about saying this, at the risk of sounding very, I don't like this. I'm going to change it. So I have to talk about the causes. Here I've already mentioned the causes, right? Our sedentary lifestyles. Don't worry about writing the most unique or, out of the box or most creative thing, because that's not a marking factor. That's not a marking criteria. So if you spend your time and energy wondering, oh, is my idea unique enough? You're not going to get anywhere. So don't bother with that. I'm gonna leave this and I'm gonna go on to the next one first, because I feel like I could talk about this better. Largely preventable issues in adulthood and in old age. I mean, right from the time when you're 30 or so, you have these, I mean, it's important to start. I mean, the 20s, you're kind of invincible, everything is fine, but then you start having these, aches and pains that pop up, and you're like, oh, I'm getting old. So this leads to a range of largely preventable issues in adulthood and in old age. Okay, that's fine. And then my last one, I'm going to write, people could easily avoid ill health, but they need the support of their culture and their society. Maybe I'm going to remove culture. I don't know. Let's see. So I don't want to just say lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle again. So I'm trying to think of it. I mean, if I wanted to write the most simple thing, I should probably take my own advice here and not worry about writing the most creative thing. But I basically want to do the best, for you, the viewer. So let's see. I could potentially say that, let's see, many people do little or no exercise at all and they have health problems. Okay. Okay. We as a culture maybe don't prioritize health as much, There are so many social-cultural factors have a huge role in downplaying the importance of exercise, or maybe have a huge role in the lack of popularity in Social cultural factors have a huge role to play in exercise's lack of popularity. I don't know, it sounds a bit strange. I'm not going to write that then. But I do agree with this. So, social cultural factors have a huge role to play. Maybe in the decline of exercise's popularity. Maybe, I don't know. Again, it's just. I'm just trying to say that it's, the way that you have, for example, you go work someplace and you're sitting in a desk for 8 to 10 hours. That's a huge chunk of your day. Then, of course, you spend 7 hours laying in bed. Again, you very little time, for exercise, essentially. So that's culture, that's society. That's just a modern industrial, post-industrial age. So I can write that. I like that phrase, the post-industrial, or what we actually call the postmodern. I like that phrase, so I'm going to put it in here. Social cultural factors have a huge role to play. Now, you might notice that I read my work a lot. I read it often, and that is a practice that you should inculcate as well. I see too often, even our students tend to, maybe, again, normally that happens in the beginning, but they're not really used to reading their own work. People have this idea that my first draft is going to be perfect. It's not true at all. I mean, the best writers in the world read their work dozens of times and even have editors that they pay to review their work. So, I mean, being realistic, you have to understand that you can't just, hand in your first copy and expect to get a band 7 or 7.58, whatever your score is. Even if you're looking for a 6.5, you should be reading your work over and over again, because that's the only way you'll figure out if you have any mistakes. And of course, there might be some things which you may not be aware of, which you may not be able to correct, but that's fine. But at least look at your work twice to thrice, and I would always recommend reading your work over and over again. That's super helpful. Okay, so, yeah, where was I? Right, so huge role to play in the decline of what, health, exercise, or what do we call them? Yeah, in the decline of exercise, or maybe people are just not active anymore, right? So they are responsible for people's lack of activity. There we go. Have, I guess you could say, a range of social cultural factors. There we go. And then I'm going to think of exactly what factors. The way our lifestyles are set up. Jobs. Desk jobs for like 8 to 10 hours, right? And then the fact that, urban people, or even if you live in a suburban area or rural area and you commute to your workplace, it takes a lot of time. The average lifestyle of an urban professional leaves little time for anything other than work. And then you also have, there's so many other things. People just don't find the time for work. And for a lot of people, they don't really understand. There's also a lack of knowledge or even misinformation about exercise. A lot of people worry that, if I work out, especially as a woman, I'm going to end up becoming very swole. I'm going to look like a bodybuilder. And that's not true at all. Trust me, that's not true at all. But again, it's this misconception, right? People have misconceptions about exercise, that, if you do that, you're gonna be unhealthy or whatever. For some reason, people do actually believe that. So there's a lack of knowledge, which is important to kind of acknowledge that, yes, people don't actually understand. People think that if you're going to a gym, you're some kind of weirdo. A lot of people do. That it's just a hobby or something you just do for fun. It can be. It does tend to get fun. But yeah, maybe I'll change the last one, but I don't know. Let's see. Larger preventable issues. So you have, of course, obesity. It's rising everywhere. It's not surprising. Oh, it's rising. And then what else? What other large, what preventable health issues would you face? Low flexibility. and mobility. Mobility is a major issue in old age, and if you're not, exercising, and you're not active, you have low stamina, low energy, I mean that of course, if you don't use your muscles, you kind of, they kind of atrophy, and they kind of just, they're not as strong, so you're less fit with age. It's even more important when you're older to have that flexibility as you grow older, so you can continue to live an independent lifestyle, that you don't just like, you just because you moved your arm back too much, you shouldn't end up with like, a problem, right? So that's why it's important. And then how can people avoid ill health? What kind of changes are necessary? More education, maybe government investment in outdoor gyms and educational campaign. Well, I've already said that. Yeah, there we go. More education about exercise, government investment, outdoor gyms, and subsidized programs. And what else? I think workplaces should have, exercise rooms or trainers, or allow such breaks, or encourage their employees to, like, take a break every hour of work and keep moving. It's really bad to be in a chair all day. There you have it. I'm going to see if my ideas are arranged fine. I think this is the biggest reason, and that's fine. Looks good. I'm not going to mess with it. So I'm going to write my first body paragraph. All right. Executive activity. There we go. Take that, put it over here. Perhaps the most important thing here, most importantly, I would say the biggest, I think, the biggest contributor to poor health is the modern, I would say, workplace, which expects their employees. Let me just see. The biggest contributor to poor health is the modern workplace. I'm going to put in a comma here, which expects employees. We call them chair warmers, or expecting you to, but that's a bit of a casual term. We can't use that here. So which expects employees to sit in chairs working on computers for 8 to 10 hours most days of the week, with little regard for the poor health that for any ill effects that come forth from it. They don't care, because they don't have to pay the costs of poor health, right? It's the employee that suffers. Then the average lifestyle. Another major factor is the fact that the modern lifestyle, the postmodern lifestyle, or that most people, another major factor is the fact that most people, most urban professionals have a very hectic lifestyle. When considering their commute, their working hours, and their other responsibilities, like family obligations, family and social obligations, leaving very little time, leaving little to no time for working out, or even managing their diets. And the last thing, lack of knowledge. Additionally, many people are poorly educated about the importance of exercise. I'm going to put in a semicolon. A lot of people do believe have misconceptions about how some people, especially women, should not work out for fear of imagined side effects. And it's also something that simply isn't very widespread in many cultures. There's just no like exercise and fitness culture. It's like it's seen as a hobby, and it's also seen as a frivolous hobby. That's it. Then I'm gonna write if society is so, like straitjackets people's lifestyles, it's going to be very difficult for them. It is no wonder that people find it difficult to, be healthy, be active, physically fit. You are bound. You have like, oh no, 10 to 8, I have to be at my job, and then I have to leave my home at 8 a.m. and then I get home by 10 p.m. Oh, then I have to cook, and oh, then I have other things. I might have a wife, I might have a husband, I might even have a whole family. I might have so many other things to do. My kid has to do homework. I have to go here and there. Who has the time to work out, right? So it's a straitjacket is actually, well, you can look it up. It constricts you from doing anything, right? And so that's what society can do if you participate in it. Okay, then we have the next idea here. This leads to a range of largely preventable issues. The most regrettable, unsurprisingly, obesity has risen tremendously over the past 40 to 50 years, ever since processed food really took off and working hours increased. We have this work obsessed culture, right? And our culture became work obsessed to the point where people have, oh well, why am I writing about this? I've already talked about this already. Our culture became so work obsessed that people had little time or say in well, not say, but yeah, little time for anything else. Obesity is now the number one factor. You often do it this way: number one factor for all health, other health issues. Number one factor for what we say, other health issues such as diabetes or what do we say, cardiovascular illness. Contributing factor, that's right, that's the word I was looking for. And heart attacks have risen. And heart attacks, well, you could say, what's the actual term? Cardiac arrests. I don't know if cancer is something I can say here, because that's just, it's just your cells dividing very randomly. So cardiac arrests have become the leading cause of death in people. Become the leading cause of death. There we go. Okay, this looks pretty big. I should maybe chop it down a little bit. I'm going to say over the past over the past 50 years, ever since processed food took off and culture became work obsessed. I think this is not really necessary. Obesity is now the #1 contributing factor. There we go. And then low flexibility. Oops, there's an extra word here. And then another less, I would say, I mean, yeah, flexibility is definitely a problem. It's not as severe, as obesity or cardiac arrest or diabetes, etc. Another less nefarious, well, not nefarious, but less worrisome, but equally problematic. I don't know if I should say less worrisome. Another major concern is the fact that many people, even in their 30s, many young adults, well, not young adults, sorry, many people, even those in their 30s, suffer from decreased flexibility and mobility, which can continue to be a major problem, which can snowball, which can, it can kind of intensify into a major problem in old age, and can decrease one's ability and can, really, decrease one's ability to live an independent life. Like you would need like a wheelchair, or you would need to be placed in a care home if you can't use your arms, legs, etc., right? Without needing, a full-time caregiver. What's up with my keyboard today? Okay. And the last thing is low stamina. They get less fit with age. This lack of exercise generally makes people to, or leads people to have very low stamina and energy. What do we call that? Anyway, I'll probably find it later on. Low stamina. This is a word that I was thinking of. What do we call that? It's your ability to continue, your ability to, perseverance. Well, not perseverance, but maybe endurance, right? Low stamina, energy, and endurance. So stamina, endurance, and energy, which can lead to, which generally correlates, well, with which generally also leads, oh, well, obviously you have already used generally, okay, which also leads to decreased fitness with increased age. There we go. And then I'm gonna just end with therefore. If people, if people continue to ignore the importance of exercise, they suffer, due to this later in life. Yeah, there's no other way to put it. It is suffering. And then I've got my last paragraph. People could easily avoid ill health by having the support of their society and culture. If you had more time, you probably could do it as well, right? I think the biggest factor, this is because if people would have if people had, what's more education about exercise? This is to more education about, the various, a lot of people think, oh, exercise, oh, you have to lift heavy things and put them down, lift heavy things and put them down again. It's not true. And, well, that is just, one aspect of exercise. But there is also, of course, a range of things that you could be doing, not just like lift and put things down. There's yoga, there's aerobics, there's swimming is a form of exercise as well. And I mean, there's just very little education about it. There's because if people had access to more education about the importance of being fit, of being, physically active, that knowledge would empower them. Empower them to make the right decisions for their health. And then what's the next idea? Investment in outdoor gyms. I can see the most effective solution would be I think I'm gonna say the most effective solution here. But this is a conditional sentence. It's a very good thing. I'm gonna keep it. Doesn't matter either way. Government investment. Okay. An essential, I would say, maybe to this issue would be for the government to perhaps increase, you could say, investment in, increase investment in outdoor gyms. An essential remedy to this issue would be the government to increase investment in preventive health care. Well, I don't know, that's not really preventive. Preventive health care is like checkups and stuff like that. So increase investment in communities by providing access to outdoor gyms or subsidizing workout programs or exercise programs for those who may not be able to afford the full prices for such memberships, right? There we go. Again, it can be a factor, especially in many developing countries. It definitely can be something that can hold people back because they're thinking, oh well, a yearly membership is like a whole month worth, a whole month's worth of my income or something. And so in that case, they may be like, yeah, okay, maybe not, right? So an essential remedy would be to increase investment in the communities by providing access to outdoor gyms or subsidizing exercising programs for those who may not be able to afford the full price for such memberships. Okay, and the last one, workplaces. Oh yeah. Workplaces also have a responsibility. Employers also have the moral and social responsibility of ensuring I guess, access to workout areas or exercise rooms for their employees to be able to take a break and get some movement to their bodies, to take a break and exercise for a while, to work out for a while. There we go. And then we'll end with, hence, if society really got together and formed a plan, it would be easy to fix this epidemic once and for all. Well, maybe not once and for all, but yeah. There we go. And then the last thing I need to write is the conclusion. So in conclusion, where's my comma? It is evident that. Let's see. So wow, this is huge. But that's the thing with problem solution essays. You're gonna end up writing maybe 3 paragraphs. Of course, your style might be different. You're probably not gonna write such huge paragraphs anyway. But anyway, this is the way I write things. I'm just giving you some tips about ideas that you can write in your essay if you get a question like this. So, right, what was I saying? I need to write my conclusion. Okay, so it's evident that people's lack of activity, low levels of physical activity, are largely due to factors outside of their control, which unfortunately have a very real, which unfortunately have a range of long-term ill effects on their, well-being. In order to fix this, we need to ensure we get together to, I already said that, so we need to ensure that we form sustainable and scalable plans for our communities. You have to watch out for each other as a community, right? First of all, let's stop working ridiculous hours, and the government needs to invest in a whole lot of things like, more public transportation, more effective transportation, workplaces closer to your homes. There's so many changes that need to be made. And finally, what do I need to do? Yeah, I need to give some kind of advice. So if, let's see, if these changes were put into place, the lack of exercising would become immensely popular. That's it. There we go. That's my entire essay. So, well, that's good. 39 minutes. That's record time. Let's see. How big is this? Okay, let's check. Here's the moment of truth. Oh, that's okay. Well, 577. That's a lot. But well, it's kind of standard. If I'm the one who's writing, that's like double the word. Okay, well, anyway, that doesn't really matter, because of course you're not going to write anything like this. I might, but that's okay. I mean, you can see, yeah, it's really well developed though. And again, you don't have to write something large for your paragraphs to be well developed. This might even be a bit too, it looks fine. I mean, yeah, they look pretty much even. So there we go. That's the entire essay. I'm just gonna bring it to the very top here. There we go. All right, so there we go. Lifestyle illnesses have been increasing. That's the introduction. Then we have body paragraph 1. You can pause and you can read this. Then we have body paragraph 2, this one here. Again, you can pause and read it. And the last body paragraph. And then you have the conclusion. There we go. All right, well, I hope that was enjoyable. You can log in next week. I'm gonna write another essay, or you can come back on Saturday if you'd like me to, respond to a new speaking test. All right, well, that's it. See you next time.